All right. We are live on IG. We are live on YouTube. Again, family, welcome, welcome, welcome to Breakfast with Aldron. Really super happy and grateful to have you guys on the call. For those that were on yesterday's call, this will be a continuation of yesterday's call. So if you haven't caught up, if you have no idea what this call is going to be about, definitely encourage you to check out the previous video. The topic was putting yourself first. And because we had to rush the call because I got on late, I wanted to roll this over into today's lesson so that I can really give you guys the breakdown on why it's so important for us to make sure that we're putting ourselves first. And I was going through some videos. I was, talking to, some mentors of mine. I was getting some feedback on, how I can really share wisdom with the family and really helping people understand why, right? Because it's one thing to just tell you guys what to do, but helping everybody understand the reason behind why, right? That's where the true power of understanding comes from, is you understanding why things are the way it is, right? A lot of us can relate. A lot of us know that growing up, right? We used to ask our parents, our family members, our guardians, why. They tell you to do something, okay, why? Right? And I feel like we were just so conditioned to just do as we're told without having that understanding. And in reality, it actually hurts the learning process. People don't understand why they're doing something. It starts to build a lot of doubt, starts to build a lot of mistrust, right? So it's always important to start with why, because why simply lays the path out for everything else that follows. So I can definitely do another call. That actually just kind of gave me an idea about another call I want to do for next week, about whys. But again, today we're going to focus exclusively on putting yourself first and why that's so important to do, especially in today's day and age, family. So get your pen and paper out, family. Going to be able to drop some really dope value. Hope you guys have also had an amazing morning. Also, too, let's drop some gratitude in the chat. I feel like we haven't done this in so long. There's some things I want to definitely get back into. I remember when we first started Breakfast with Algeron, we used to do visualizations in the morning. And don't get me wrong, family, I definitely want to get back into visualizing, because I feel like we could literally just do visualizations and then like end the call off of that, because that's how powerful visualizations are. But definitely going to be working with definitely want to get some feedback from you guys. So if there's things that you feel like we can improve upon or things that we should do differently, I'm always open to feedback, because I want us to be able to grow as a community. But in order to do that, I can't do it on my own without knowing things that we can improve upon as a family. So with that being said, going to get the call started. Again, this is part 2 of why we should be putting ourselves first. So I'm going to touch back a little bit yesterday on what we talked about. So ultimately, we talked about people, as we all have been guilty of. We tend to put other people before ourselves. And yesterday's call, I talked a little bit about how to be able to fill our cups, right? So we talked about the importance of the morning routine, right? Because in order for you to be able to pour into somebody else, you have to first fill your cup up, right? And I talked about the morning routine being one of the most impactful things of my entire life, and for why I was able to build myself back up into a better version of myself. But it started with my morning routine. Now, I won't dive too deep into it because the recording's out there, family. Definitely need you guys to um, check in with the previous video. But I talked about morning routine consisting of meditating, practicing gratitude, right? Love and gratitude are the two highest forms of emotion. Journaling, getting thoughts off your head, being able to meditate, again, calming your mind, reading, always pouring back into yourself, right? These are ways we can fill our cup, but too many of us aren't doing these things, and we are expected to fill the cups of other people, right? Drop a 111 in the chat if you feel like you're considered one of the strong ones in your family, your friend circle, or your close knit circle. Drop a 111 in the chat. You feel like you have to be the strong one for other people. And I'll drop a 111 in the chat too, family, because this is me as well. Right? We're always there. when people need us. We're always there when, people go through hard times. We're that friend that, we're that shoulder to cry on when people close to us are going through problems in life. Like, we got to be the strong ones, but no one really is out there for us, right? Have you ever felt that way? Drop a 111 in the chat. So there's an issue with that, right? The reason being is that you're putting your, ooh, my bad, fam. My camera is about to fall on me. My bad, family. My ring light is like acting crazy right now. My bad, family. 1 second. My ring camera is like acting crazy right now. Let me see if I can set it right here. All right. let's pray that it stays good. All right, cool. My bad, family. So where was I? So the issue with that, right? The issue with us being considered as the strong ones, like we have to be the strong ones in our family to keep everybody up and standing strong, is that we're putting ourselves last, right? We're putting ourselves last when we always tell ourselves we have to be the strong one. And what that also means is that you're putting other people first. Now, regardless of your belief or your faith, when you put yourself last, you're putting God last as well. Right. And this is, at the end of the day, I used to feel, bad about, talking about God on calls because I understand people come from different beliefs. But at the end of the day, your God could be anything that you see as what's better than the current version of you. Right. Whatever that may be. It could be spiritual, it can be, however you want to see it. But for me, it's God. Right. But when we put ourselves last, we're putting God last as well. The reason being is that we are representatives of God in our individual lives. So how we treat ourselves is how we treat God. If we want to treat God in a respectful and appropriate way, we have to treat ourselves the right way as well. Now, like I said, you've got to be good to yourself as you would for God in order to be a service to others in the world. But we're failing in this, family. We're failing in this because we always were conditioned to believe that we should put other people first and give what's left to ourselves. And that's not the way to go about it. That's how we've been disciplined to think, that it's selfish of us to be able to think of our needs before somebody else's. Even for my parents, and I talked about a little bit about this on yesterday's call. We, even as parents, we tend to always put our kids first, always putting our kids first. But how can you expect to take care of somebody else if you're not taking care of yourself? And what we do is we're creating that expectation, even in our children, that they see us taking care of them, but they see us walking around looking miserable. Now we're creating the expectation that that is how supposed things are supposed to be. And now we have a whole nother generation repeating our mistakes. It's not selfish to put yourself first, it's self-full. And I want you guys to really think about the analogy that I talked about yesterday, right? We talked about having cups. And I wish I brought some cups to be able to give you guys an idea, but you guys can visualize this, right? You want to think of life and its abundance, all the abundance in life as an endless flowing water fountain. And you put your cup up, right? Your cup represents you and your fulfillment. You put your cup up in front of that fountain to fill your cup up for the day, right? And only then, when that cup is full, can we then reach the point of being able to give unto others. But here's what they say, right? Here's what it says here. What comes excessively out of the cup is for others, but what remains in the cup is for you. So we're not actually emptying our cup to pour into somebody else's. We're constantly overflowing our cup, and what comes out of the cup, what overflows out of that cup is for the rest of is for others, is for the rest of the world. But what most of us will do, and I was guilty of this as well, is we will stop the source, right? We'll stop pouring into our cup, right? Once it's filled, right? We take our cup away and then we pour and empty our cup into other people. Now, I used to say that we want to pour into other people's cup, but I didn't think of it that way. I didn't think of the fact that we never take our cup away. We simply let what overflows pour into the cups of other people. So our cup should always be full on a day-to-day basis. We should never let our cup get below the brim of the brim of the cup. What overflows is what we give into others. We don't stop fulfilling ourselves to be able to pour into other people. It should be an endless flowing cup. Our cup should overflow just as much as that fountain that we got received it from the source. Now, get this, family, because when I read this, I was like, wow, like changed my whole way of thinking about this. When you give so much of yourself to the point that you begin sacrificing yourself, you make the recipient a thief. I'm gonna say that again because I know that went over people's heads. I know that went over people's heads, right? When you give so much of yourself to the point that you begin sacrificing a part of yourself just to give, you make that person, the recipient, the person that's receiving that sacrifice, you're making them a thief. The reason being is that they're stealing a part of you that you need for yourself and they don't even realize it. Right? For those that are on the call, I know you guys are like, wow, like you guys are having the same reaction I did because I never thought of it that way. And that's why so many of us, right, when we do things for other people and we don't feel like we're receiving gratitude, we feel like they weren't grateful of what we had to give, then we start to resent other people. That's where resentment comes from because our expectations, our feelings weren't hurt, our expectations were. Your feelings never get really hurt, right? Heartbreaks aren't technically real, right? It's the fact that your expectations were broken and now you're frustrated with that person because they did something you weren't expecting, right? So I want to go back a little bit because I really want to dissect the reason behind why we feel as though we give too much, why we do not put ourselves first. And these were some of the reasons why I realized when I started to journal and I started to really open myself up to why I do some of the things that I do, I found out three reasons why I wasn't putting myself first. So the first reason for me, and I want you guys to not take this as a teaching, a training, a keys to be successful, right? I want you guys to really learn from me because for one, I feel like I'm the hardest learner out there because I really have to. People could say the stove is hot, don't touch it. And I'm that type of person that still wants to touch it just to make sure, right? I don't know if you know people like that, but I'm that type of person. But I really take these hard lessons because I want to be able to teach other people how not to try to think like I did and think I could somehow find a loophole in the system. But I want you guys to really understand the why aspect because when you guys can understand the why aspect looking through my life, I want you guys to be able to take the lessons without actually having to deal with the consequences, right? So my first reason for why I was putting myself first, I'm putting other people before myself was I didn't see myself as having purpose. I lacked purpose. I didn't believe that my purpose exceeded outside of my current circumstances. So in my mind, I had already reached the maximum potential that I had to offer to myself. And once I believed that I reached that peak, I had nothing else to strive for. So I had all this excess energy, all this excess information. And because I felt like I was capped, all I could do was simply give unto others. I always had a giving heart. I always had the mindset of of wanting to give unto those around me. But I never believed in myself deep enough where I felt like I could continually strive on until, again, I started to work on personal development, right? So if you feel as though, and I want you guys to really think about and reflect on yourself, are you are you always striving towards something? Do you have a goal that is so far out of reach that you may never reach that goal, but it keeps driving you just to find that answer, just to find out if that is the case, right? Having such a strong enough purpose will in fact show you that you do have to put yourself first, because if you put other people around you before you, then that goal is absolutely not going to happen. But when you begin to start to put yourself, when you realize that by putting yourself first, it's going to get you to that goal, well, then now you'll start to see that you have to put yourself first in order to do so. So having that long-term vision, seeing yourself outside of your circumstances now, will be the first step towards getting you to realizing how important it is to put you and your needs first. Not second, not third, but first. So the second reason for why I felt like I had to keep putting other people first was that I carried a big bag of guilt on my shoulders. And this is me being vulnerable with you guys for a moment, right? When, you know, I didn't grow up, with the honest of intentions to people, right? I've lied, I've 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 not been fully transparent. I wasn't always coming clean about everything. And obviously I've worked on myself tremendously, but I always felt like that guilt always followed me no matter what. I always felt like no matter where I went, that guilt was just waiting around the corner just to remind me that it's still there, right? And so I felt like I was in debt to the world forever, right? I felt like I owed the world. I always would owe the world no matter how much good I did. And I felt compelled to always putting other people first because I felt like I did not deserve to ever be selfish, right? I didn't deserve to even think that I needed to put my needs first because I felt like that guilt always reminded me of what I did wrong or the wrong that I've done to people. So I say this to say, if you feel like you owe somebody something, right? Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you did something that you now currently are regretting. But if you feel like you are in debt to somebody because of an accident or a mistake that you might have made in the past, you need to let that go because we all make mistakes. No one in this earth is built to be perfect. The best thing you can do to repay somebody that you have maybe done wrong or hurt is to be better. Use that experience with that individual as a lesson on how you can be better. You don't owe them. Maybe if they're willing to accept it, maybe an apology, a sincere apology, really showing them that you are sympathetic to how they're feeling. You're showing them that you really understand how you messed up, right? Maybe that's one way of being able to repay them, but after that, they have to deal with that. Do not make someone else's forgiveness your responsibility. That's something they have to work out. You said you were sorry. You truly meant it, and I hope you do when you say this. But after that, you can no longer carry that guilt, right? Move on, take that lesson to the heart, and you move on with your life. Don't let the guilt that some people may put on your shoulders hold you back and make you think that it's wrong to put in yourself first. No matter what happens in life, you always put yourself first. No matter who you did wrong, you always put yourself first. You never put someone else before you. Because again, how you treat yourself is, if let me see if y'all were listening. How you treat yourself, right? Instagram, this is for y'all too, is how you treat who. How you treat yourself is how you treat who, guys. Drop it in the chat for me. God. How you treat yourself is how you treat God. So ask yourself the way you talk to yourself, the negative things that you're saying that you can or you're not able to do, right? Is that how you would talk to God? Is that how you would talk to your creator? No? Then why are you doing that to yourself? Right? So the third reason, the third reason for why I felt like I needed to put others first is because I felt like they didn't feel as though I needed the approval of other people, right? I felt like I needed the approval of others in order to feel self-fulfilled, right? I was addicted to approval. So in order to receive the approval from other people, I had to put them first. I had to put them beyond I had to put their needs beyond my own. And guys, we all know here that that's not the best way to go about it. We cannot put people and the needs of others before ourselves, because then we have nothing. Can you imagine you're filling your cup every day and you literally dump everything that was in that cup into somebody else's, and then you just sit there and wait, right? And you sit there and wait with an empty cup, hoping that someone pours into your own. It's not how we do it. But too many of us are addicted, right? We're literally addicted, just like social media, just like TikTok. We're addicted to people approving of what we do. In order to do that, we have to put their needs first. We put other people first, and all they do, right? All some people will do is just continually feed off of you. Next thing you know, they're becoming dependent upon you, right? Because they're so used to what you do for them that they start to regress, and now they start to lose sight of how to take care of themselves, so that when you go, right? You ever like leave somebody? You ever have somebody that was so dependent on you that you're gone for a day, or you had to, you had a long busy day, and they freak out, right? They freak out on you. Like, where have you been? How come you haven't talked to me all day? Right? It's because we're not only doing our disservice to ourselves, but to other people by allowing them to have this dependency upon us, right? But it's because we're so focused on catering to their every command, so worried about making sure that they're always approving of us, that we're hurting ourselves and that person. We're setting the wrong expectations. So just to backtrack, because I want to really make sure I highlight to you guys that those three reasons, those are personal for me. There could be other reasons out there. There could be a million other reasons, but I get on these calls so that you guys can start to reflect more internally, and maybe there's other reasons for why that you can go out there and teach somebody. There's reasons that I may not have experienced myself, but because you got onto this call, you were meant to get onto this call so that you can reflect and then teach this to somebody else. I always teach with the intention of teaching. I always learn with the intention of teaching it to somebody else. And I obviously throw my own my own personal experience into it, but that's what life is about. We take our experiences and lessons, and we pass them down, we pass them on. Sometimes it's to our children, sometimes it's to our friends, our family. But that's how we can leave this world a little bit better than when we found it. For me, that's my key purpose in life. That's the key. It's my sole responsibility in this world, is to leave life a little bit better than when I found it. And then my way of doing so, everyone may have their different ways, but my way of doing so is Breakfast with Algernon. It's a perfect vehicle for me because I can have I can have such a strong outreach to so many people, right? And that's why I want to build this community up, because I know that when we reach 1,000 subscribers, think of the outreach we can have. Think of the impact we're going to make because now we're extending our outreach as a family. We're getting more people onto these calls so that we can have more impact. We can impact more lives. We can spread out the message so that so many people going through this current experience, right? So many people who are putting other people first can receive the message and then teach it to somebody else. That's how we make the world better than when we found it. So I want you guys to really take this because I'm going to wrap things up because it's Sunday. I love to spend time with my family, really just unwind and just, a lot of bonding that I like to do on Sunday. So I hold them very sacred, but I want you guys to really understand it. It's key. And I'm looking at y'all on Instagram. I'm looking at you guys on YouTube. I need you guys to make yourself the priority. I want you guys to drop in the chat, I am my first priority, right? So I know that you're really getting this message. So I know that for certain that when this call ends, you will promise me that you will always put yourself first. Drop in the chat, I am my first priority. And that's making that promise to me. Don't do it unless if you're not going to keep it. But are you willing to make that promise today that you will make yourself a priority? I see that. I know I did my job for today. Because there is nobody that's more important in your life than you. Not your kids, not your mom, not your dad, not your family, not your close friends. You have to be first. Then put your kids, then put your spouse, significant other, friends, family, whoever. And that's how you know you're on the right track with things. When you start to see you yourself as the priority, family. So I want to get on here and make sure that you guys got the final message with the call from yesterday. We'll definitely make sure I have give myself ample time to get set up for next Saturday's call. I want to keep this going with Saturday and Sunday because I really feel like we're really the message is sinking through for a lot of people. I've gotten some good feedback. People really like the call. They like to have the options of being on live or just watching the recording on both Saturday and Sunday. Some people make Saturday, some people make Sunday, some people do both. But I'm glad that this is really helping a lot of people. So, with that being said, family, we're going to wrap up this call. I hope you guys got some amazing value off of part 2 today with putting yourself first. Again, how you treat yourself is how you treat God, and ask yourself, the way you're treating yourself right now, is that how you would treat God or the God figure in your life right now? So again, put your needs first, right? Don't get addicted to the approval of other people. Understand that whatever baggage you carry from the past, you do not owe anybody anything. And most importantly, family, have that longer vision. See yourself outside of your circumstances now and allow that vision to exceed beyond where your eyes can see. Make your vision or your goals so far ahead of you that it continually gives you a reason to keep moving forward so that you don't settle for wherever you're at currently, guys. So have an amazing day, family. I love y'all. I'll see you guys next week on Saturday at 10 a.m. Have a blessed and amazing weekend, family. And again, thank you for tuning in to Breakfast with Algernon. Have an amazing weekend.